The first thing I always feel is the cold. Not air temperature cold, but the kind that seeps into your bones when you don't recognize your own hands. That moment between waking and understanding. Except for me, it isn't a moment. It's an eternity packed into the first breath. I woke up in a room that wasn't mine. Again. A dim apartment, concrete walls, water stains spreading like bruises on the ceiling. One window cracked open, letting in the low drone of a city that never seems to sleep. The bed beneath me creaked when I moved. It always does. The details are different every time. The layout, the furniture, the smells. But that creak, that sound always comes with the beginning. My body was different, taller this time. Heavy arms, veins like wires beneath pale skin. I stood and caught my reflection in the mirror above the dresser. The face staring back was a stranger's. Square jaw, crooked nose, hair buzzed short and uneven. Brown eyes, unreadable. But the look behind them, that was me. The panic held back by thin restraint. The quiet fury of realizing you're someone else again, and no one around you even notices. The city outside buzzed with motion. I dressed in clothes that fit just wrong, tight around the shoulders, loose around the waist. Whoever this man was, he wasn't me, but he was all I had today. I stepped out into the hallway, rusted elevators, flickering lights. A woman walking her dog who didn't look at me. They never look, not for more than a second. The streets were the same as always. That's the cruel joke of it. No matter how many times I wake up in a new body, the city is always the same. The same corner market with the blinking neon sign. The same alley that always smells like burnt rubber and ash. The same static-filled announcements echoing from cracked speakers, hidden in lampposts, though no one ever reacts to them. I've tried asking people what day it is, where we are, what year. The answers change, or don't come at all. Sometimes they laugh, like I've told a joke they've heard before. Sometimes they just blink and turn away like I never spoke. The worst is when they answer in my own voice. I walked past a cafe I'd been to before, 3 bodies ago. The same barista was inside, wearing the same name tag, Lena. Last time, I think she recognized me. She gave me a coffee and said, "You've changed," before walking away. Today she didn't even glance up. I didn't go in. I made my way toward the train station. I always do. Part instinct, part desperation. If the city doesn't change, maybe leaving it will. But every time I try, the trains are gone. Or they arrive and no one gets off. Or the destination board says things like nowhere or still here. On the platform I saw a boy staring at me. No, through me. He couldn't have been more than 10. Tattered jacket, dirty sneakers, but his eyes were too old. He tilted his head and said, "That's not your face." I froze. "What did you say?" He smiled, gap-toothed. "You're not the only one." I stepped toward him, but he bolted, darting up the stairs and into the city before I could follow. I chased him through alleys that bent wrong, streets that seemed to rearrange themselves behind me. The sun blinked like a dying bulb overhead, casting shadows that moved even when I didn't. I lost him near the old library, abandoned for years, yet never aging. I stood there, panting, unsure if I was even in the same day anymore. That's when I heard the hum, low and wet, like something breathing through a broken throat. I turned and saw a door slightly ajar in the side of the building. I'd never seen that door before. Inside was dust, rows of shelves that seemed to lean away from me, and in the center, another mirror, cracked, stained, but familiar. I walked up to it, drawn without thought. The face inside was mine, not today's. Mine, the original, my true self. I hadn't seen it in so long. I nearly forgot what I looked like. My chest tightened, my hands trembled. I reached out, fingertips brushing the glass. The reflection blinked, and its mouth moved, but not in sync with mine. It whispered, lips moving in a different rhythm. "I'm still here," it said. The lights went out. I felt the floor vanish, and I woke up. In a new room, in a new body. But the city hadn't changed at all. I opened my eyes to warm sunlight slanting through half-drawn curtains, dust dancing in the beams like memory fragments too faint to catch. The room was unfamiliar. So was the body. I sat up slowly, already feeling the tightness in my chest, that quiet panic that never screamed, but never left. The weight of a new existence, sinking in, before I even stood. This body was younger. Slender arms, smooth skin, calloused fingers, maybe a student, maybe someone working with their hands. My feet hit the floor with a strange softness, as though the room itself didn't want to wake me. The carpet was faded, but clean. No mirrors in sight this time. They never appear when I'm ready, only when I'm weakest. I found clothes in the closet, simple, casual. A hoodie, jeans, sneakers too tight in the toes. I pulled them on and left the apartment, walking down a hallway I didn't recognize, but I never do, not anymore. My steps echoed even though the floor was carpeted. That echo's always there, like the world around me is hollow, like the city is waiting for something. Outside, the city moved like it always did, buses rumbling past, people walking with too much purpose for how empty their eyes are, storefronts glowing with half-lit signs no one notices. The same city, same corners, same background noise buzzing under the surface like an unspoken frequency. But this time I wasn't just wandering. I was looking for the boy, the one who said, "That's not your face." I walked to the train station again, retracing my steps. The same coffee cup lay on the same bench, still half full. The same homeless man slept under the same awning. The same cat sat on the same mailbox, licking its paw in a loop I was sure I'd already seen. That's when I spotted him, across the street. Same torn jacket, same two old eyes and a too young face. He stood beside a payphone, one hand resting on the receiver like he was waiting for it to ring. When I stepped off the curb, a car passed too close, horn blaring, though I hadn't seen it coming. When I looked back, he was gone. But this time, I didn't hesitate. I ran. Through streets that curved into alleys, through intersections that blinked the wrong colors. I found myself in a narrow path between two buildings, brick walls sweating in the heat. And there he was, waiting. No fear in his face, no movement, just watching. "You're still chasing," he said. "Who are you?" "I'm the part you forgot." "Forgot what?" He pointed to my chest. "Your name, your first one, the one the city erased." I stepped closer. "How do I get it back?" He shrugged. "Stop pretending these lives are yours." "What does that mean?" "Every time you wake up, you accept it. You accept the body, the clothes, the job. You move through the city like it's real, but it's not. It's a loop. And every time you believe it, you stay here." I shook my head. "Then what am I supposed to do?" "Remember." He turned and began walking away. I followed. The alley opened up into a place I didn't recognize, not just unfamiliar, but new. A cul-de-sac that shouldn't have existed, houses standing too straight, shadows bending upward, grass too green, the sky too quiet. In the center was a building with no windows, just a black door with no handle. He stopped in front of it. "Inside is the mirror that never lies." "What happens if I go in?" "You might not like who's looking back." The door opened without touch. I stepped forward. The inside was pitch black, yet I could see. The space bent around itself, folding like fabric in a slow breeze. In the center was a mirror, taller than the others, towering, Its surface didn't reflect. It absorbed. I stepped closer. My body tingled, buzzed with the pressure of invisible recognition. And then I saw it. Not one face. All of them. Every version I had lived. Every body I had worn. Stacked, overlapping, fading into each other. 100 strangers with my eyes. A collage of lives stitched together by memory I couldn't trust. And beneath it all, one face I didn't recognize. But it was mine. Real. Unchanging. Watching. It spoke without moving. You are not trapped in the city. I leaned closer, breath shallow. The city is trapped in you. The mirror cracked. The room shook. And I fell. Again. He fall was slower this time. Almost gentle. No rush of wind. No blur of motion. Just a drifting sensation. Like I was sinking in thick air. I wasn't sure how long it lasted. In this place, time folds in on itself. You stop counting moments when you realize the moment never ends. I landed on my feet in the middle of a crosswalk. Cars were frozen in place. Drivers, unmoving behind their windshields like mannequins caught in mid-blink. People lined the sidewalks, but none of them moved. They weren't breathing. They weren't blinking, just paused. The entire city was holding its breath. I turned slowly, trying to orient myself. Everything looked familiar, but too clean. Like a film set of the city I thought I knew. Trash bins were too symmetrical. Posters too crisp. The sounds were gone. No footsteps. No wind. No buzz of fluorescent streetlights. And then everything resumed, all at once. A jolt, as if reality hit play again. People moved. Cars drove. Horns honked. Someone bumped into me and muttered something I didn't catch. I stumbled out of the crosswalk and leaned against a wall, heart pounding. I'd been here before, maybe in the first week, maybe the first body, but it had never glitched like that. I began walking without direction, letting the flow of the city carry me. The boy's words echoed in my head. Stop pretending these lives are yours. But it was easier said than done. Each life felt real while I was in it. The weight of the body, the rhythm of breath, the quiet ache behind the eyes, every detail convincing, every sensation designed to keep me grounded in someone else's skin. I passed a woman on a park bench, feeding birds that never landed. She looked up at me and whispered, "You remember more than you should." Before I could respond, she turned into smoke. I kept walking. Eventually, I found a building that shouldn't have been there. A theater, old and cracked, neon lights buzzing weakly above the entrance. The sign read, "Now playing, you." Inside, the lobby was empty except for a single ticket on the floor. I picked it up. The date printed wasn't a number. It just said, "Again." I stepped into the auditorium. Dark, silent. Then the screen flickered to life. I was on it. Every face I had worn, one after the other. Scenes played out. Me drinking coffee, reading books I didn't remember, arguing in voices I didn't recognize. Each life stitched together into a movie I'd never consented to star in. I sat down, unable to look away. Halfway through, I noticed someone else in the seat beside me. The boy. He was eating popcorn like it was just another show. I whispered, "Why are you here?" He shrugged. "Everyone needs an audience." The version of me on screen stared straight into the camera. Then the screen cut to black. Text appeared. The loop watches back. The theater shook. The seats collapsed into themselves. The aisles stretched into staircases. The ceiling vanished. The boy grabbed my hand. "This is where it turns." Turns into what? Memory. We fell through the floor. No sound. Only memory. Scenes from childhood. My real childhood. My own face at last. My mother's voice. The smell of rain on a Sunday, a scar on my left knee, a hallway I used to run down, now buried under years of false mornings. We landed in a room filled with televisions. Each screen showed a different moment. Some I remembered, others I didn't. A woman crying in a kitchen, me laughing in a storm, hands gripping a steering wheel too tight. And in every screen, me. Not this body, not this loop, me. The boy let go of my hand and said, "You've seen it now. You can't pretend anymore." I turned to him. "Seen what?" "That you're not a prisoner." "Then what am I?" "A pattern, worn thin." The screens all blinked to black, and a new one lit up. This time, it didn't show me. It showed a desk, a mirror, the room I'd seen before, but empty, until I walked into it, on screen, watching myself, and I realized there was no loop, only layers, each dream a reflection of the last, each version a copy degraded just enough to keep me from seeing the truth. Until now. I looked at the boy. He was fading, becoming translucent. "What happens now?" I asked. "You wake up." I shook my head. "Number, I've done that too many times." "Not like this," he said, and vanished. The screens exploded into light, and I fell again. I landed in silence. Not the silence of absence, but the kind that wraps around you like fog. Thick, heavy, purposeful. The room I was in didn't have edges, just a floor beneath my feet and a soft ambient glow that seemed to come from nowhere. It was like standing in the middle of a forgotten thought, something once important, now buried deep inside the folds of a restless mind. And in front of me stood a mirror. I should have been surprised, but I wasn't. I think some part of me always knew it would come back to this. It was taller than before, monolithic. Its frame was carved from something ancient, dark and smooth like volcanic glass, etched with symbols that shifted when I tried to focus on them. The surface wasn't reflective yet, just black, still. I approached slowly, my steps silent on the formless floor. My hands trembled, not with fear, but anticipation. The kind of anticipation that comes when you're about to say a name you haven't spoken in years, and you're not sure if it still belongs to you. When I stood directly before it, the surface of the mirror rippled like disturbed water, and then it cleared, not into a reflection, but a memory. I saw a version of myself, unmistakably me, but not one I had inhabited. He was laughing, walking with someone I didn't recognize, a woman, smiling. The scene was warm, familiar, too real, a moment I didn't remember, but one I knew belonged to me. The image shifted, another memory, me, younger, crying alone in a stairwell, a voice off-screen calling my name. Then another, me in an argument, me in silence, me writing something and tearing it up before finishing the last line. The mirror wasn't showing my face, it was showing my soul. Each moment stitched together like old film reels, unfinished, overlapping, skipping. Lives I had lived but never remembered, faces I had worn but never owned, people I had loved but left behind in a city that no longer remembered who I was. Then the glass changed again, and this time it showed me, the real me, not the body I currently inhabited, not one of the many forms I'd cycled through. Just me, the original. And he was looking back. He wasn't scared. He wasn't confused. He looked calm. He stepped forward inside the glass, and I mirrored the movement. We stood face to face, with only that thin barrier between us. And then he spoke. "You forgot your name." I nodded. "You gave it up every time you agreed to stay." "Stay where?" "In here," he said, tapping the other side of the mirror. In the loop, in the city, in the mask. I touched the glass. I want to leave. He shook his head slowly. Number you want to wake up. There's a difference. I didn't understand until he stepped back and gestured to the side. The mirror widened. Behind him, I saw the city again, but different this time. Stiller, empty. The people were gone. The lights flickered like candle flames in dying breath. Buildings leaned, streets cracked. The whole place was dissolving. It can't hold you anymore, he said. You're remembering too much. What happens if it collapses? He smiled, not cruelly, just softly. Then you see what's been behind it all along. The mirror pulsed, and then it began to crack. Hairline fractures spread across the surface, each one catching light that wasn't there. The original me looked at me one last time and said, "When the glass breaks, you'll have one chance to speak your true name. And if I don't, you stay." The cracks deepened, the image shimmered, and then the mirror exploded, not in sound or shards, but in thought. My mind flooded with moments I didn't remember having, but suddenly understood. The weight of lives I'd worn, the gravity of forgetting, the bitter taste of becoming someone else just to survive the dream. And underneath it all, my name. Not one I'd spoken aloud since this began. Not the name assigned to a body, but the name that held every version of me together. I opened my mouth to speak it, and I woke up, or thought I did. I was in a hospital bed, machines humming softly, an IV in my arm. A man stood beside me, eyes wide, mouth open. "She's awake," he said. No, me. I looked at my hands. They were mine, my own, thin, pale, familiar. Someone ran to the hallway, calling for a doctor, and I just lay there, confused, breathing shallowly. Was this it? Was I finally out? Then I glanced to the side. A mirror on the far wall caught my eye, and in it, I wasn't lying down. I was standing, staring, smiling. I didn't move for a long time. Just stared at the reflection in the mirror across the hospital room. The version of me, standing perfectly still, not breathing, not blinking. I lay there in bed, wires in my arm, distant voices murmuring in the hallway. But all I could hear was the quiet hum of presence. It wasn't just a hallucination. I knew that. I'd seen too many false awakenings to believe this one blindly. But something was different. For once, I didn't feel like I was wearing a mask. My fingers looked like mine. The contours of my face, the weight of my breath. It was right. After so many iterations, so many borrowed lives, this body didn't feel like a costume. It felt like coming home. But the mirror didn't move. It didn't mirror. It just watched. A nurse came in. She smiled, spoke my name, the one printed on the chart. It was close to the name I remembered, but not quite. I responded anyway, played the part, asked the questions. How long had I been asleep? What happened? Where am I? A coma, she said. Months, maybe longer. But they'd been hopeful. There were signs. Dream activity. Spikes in memory centers. All the usual words people say to explain the impossible. I nodded, said thank you, and when she left, I turned my head back to the mirror. He was still there. Same eyes, same face, but his smile was fading. He looked sad now, and slowly he began to back away, disappearing into the dim edges of the reflection, until I was staring at nothing but myself again, but not quite. In the corner of the mirror, just behind my shoulder, the city lingered. Not the hospital room, the city, dim alleys, endless stairwells, cracked windows, a flicker of neon light stuttering behind a broken sign. Still there, still watching. I sat up in bed. The machine beeped faster. I looked around. Everything was where it should be. 4 monitors, linoleum floors. Real, tangible, but my mind wouldn't settle. It whispered, "The city remembered you." The thought came uninvited, like something spoken just behind my ear. And with it, a truth. I had left something behind. Or maybe someone. They released me days later, said I was lucky, that not everyone comes back. My family visited. Old friends I barely remembered. Their faces blurred around the edges, like watercolor in the rain. Smiles felt like rehearsals. I nodded in the right places. Said I was okay, but I wasn't, because I still saw them, in reflections, in windows, in puddles. The city, still breathing, still pulsing, still trying to call me back. One night, weeks after returning home, I dreamt again. Only this time, I knew it was a dream. I stood in the city, whole and still. Same streets, same endless skyline. But it was quiet now, not frozen, not paused, waiting. And in the center of it all, where once I had chased the boy, found the mirror, fallen through lives, I found a door. Simple, wooden, paint peeling, but real. I stepped through it, and inside, nothing. Just dark, and then light. A chair, a desk, a notebook, blank, and a pen. On the wall, a mirror, but no reflection. I sat down, took the pen, and started writing. Not about the bodies, not about the loops, not about the fear. I wrote my name, my true name, the one I had buried, the one that held everything together. And when I finished, the mirror lit up, my reflection returned. It smiled, and this time so did I, because the city hadn't trapped me, it had protected me, until I was ready to return. I woke in my own bed. No beeping machines, no wires. Morning light cutting sharp lines across the floor. Birds outside. Coffee brewing in another room. Normal. But now I knew the truth. The city never wanted to forget me. It was me who had forgotten it, who I was inside it, who I'd become while trying to escape it. And now, I'm no longer afraid to sleep, because when I do, the city remembers, and I remember it too.